Hey guys, this is Claudia Fernandez. I am originally from Cuba and I want to tell you a little bit more about me. So, I came to the United States when I was 5 years old. We came around the time of February and my birthday is in March. So, I came when I was 5 and I didn't know any English. So, I had to learn everything on my own. Of course, in school, kindergarten, ESL. I don't know if you guys know about that, but that's English as a second language, which is a class that you take with other people and you have a teacher and they teach you how to read and write and, put sentences together and things like that. So, my English is not perfect, but I read a lot, so I try to perfect it as much as I can. And sometimes I find myself saying these big words and I'm like, "Oh, snaps, how did I like come out with that?" But I'm very proud of my English. I feel like I have a lot to learn still. So I admire when other people are brave enough to say these humongous words that mean so much because I feel like words are powerful. And I don't want to scare you guys yet, but there's a lot to be learned. And so I want to talk about the mind a little bit as far as knowing other languages. I feel like first you have to understand you first. You have to understand you because when you speak multiple languages, things get misunderstood and translated differently. So with my mind, I have a very active mind, very creative, and I feel like it's a lot to handle, but I try to put everything together as smooth as I can. And I'm not going to say that everything is just always calm. And no, there are times where it's a tornado. so, um, so I want to talk about jokes and things like that because sometimes you'll say a joke in English or in Spanish and you'll just be like, well, but you feel more like you're in your English mind state. So if you say it in Spanish and you have an English mind state, it's kind of like it contradicts or something. Or even when you tell jokes to other people, and I feel like this affects a lot of things because when you joke around, you can one offend somebody, two you can be misunderstood, three you're just not funny, or four you're funny but it doesn't come out right. So I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, even just self-esteem. Like having multiple languages could be an advantage, but at the same time, it could be a disadvantage because you're worried about how your words sound, how your heavy accent sounds. So you have to get comfortable with you first. And I also want to talk about translating. Translating is a gift. You can help a lot of people randomly. You could be out traveling and somebody next to you needs assistance. So, they don't know what's going on. They're kind of panicking, and you have to be like a hero, and you have to step in and be like, hey, I know English, or hey, I know Spanish, and I can help you in the situation. And the thing about it is that sometimes, you could be taken advantage of. Like, you could be out traveling with a group of friends and you're the translator all of the time. So then that means, you might not enjoy your vacation as much as you should because you're busy working your brain, trying to put two and two together, trying to speak for other people and trying to speak for yourself. So that's key. And then also just translating for family members. I think that's very special, but then it also comes with a little bit of, responsibilities. So translating for family members, I would have to say I translate mostly for my mom. She doesn't speak English, so I have to constantly translate for her. And the thing about that is that, I don't want her to be taken advantage of for not speaking English, which is really powerful because we do live in America and English is the main language. The thing about that is, having to find a job that you're able to communicate with your coworkers or your manager, because if you have a problem and you have nobody to defend you, how are you going to defend yourself? So you have to say, hey, I need help. Hey, can you translate for me? And da 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 da, So when it comes down to my family, I'm very protective and I want to make sure that they don't get taken advantage of because of the lack of language, the barrier of the language. So, and I do try to teach my mom. The thing is, she went to school for it a long time ago, but she came to America when she was in her early 20s. I'm 25, so I could only imagine her coming to the United States from a communist country in her early 20s trying to learn a second language with children. She had two kids at the time, which is me and my brother, and we were both very young. I was 5 years old and he was 5 months old. So this is already a lot of responsibility as it is. And so, doing that transition is difficult. You have to adjust to a whole new country, a whole new system, how everything works. And we're immigrants. So, that's difficult in itself. I would like to add that we're not obligated to do anything that we don't want to do. It's always more beautiful when things come from the heart and you can do things for people. At the same time, your time is very valuable, and that's something that I'm learning as I'm growing, is to value my time. And it's difficult because there are so many things going on in this world, and we don't know how to just be quiet, stay still, and just meditate, you know. And I'll get more into that in other YouTube videos just because I do have a lot to say. But as far as the language goes, I also look at it this way. When I apply for a job, or I have to meet with clients, or I have to meet with people, I am so happy and I'm already ready. Like, it's in my back pocket. Like, I'm going to pull out, like, okay, so I speak two languages. You know what I mean? I am capable of reading, writing, understanding, translating, and even due to the fact that, Spanish is very common in other languages, I can understand a little bit if I have to defend myself. For example, Portuguese, Italian, French, and other languages that maybe I'm not aware of that have, Latin depicted in it. So I'm excited. In fact, I want to learn a third language just because I feel like it's beautiful to learn another language. And I feel like it's so magical when you can talk to somebody from another country and tell them, like, hey, I know these words, teach me a little bit more. And like, as you grow, you just like put everything together and bam, you have three languages.